Welcome to the GoWIN Radio Show right here on GoGo Radio Live. We're having a special edition today. I'm your host, Nico the GoGoologist, and I have a very, very special guest. Actually, I got two guests. One is actually here with me, and if you tune into the GoGo Radio Live Facebook page or YouTube channel, you can see this gentleman right here. And most of you are probably not familiar with this gentleman unless you are from what we call the original school. Not the old school, but the original school. All right? So, and he goes by the name of Kenny Barnes Sr. And so we're going to get into about who he is and his background and why he's here today. The other gentleman is a good friend of mine from in the past, and we've had him on the show before, and we're talking about Charles Stephenson, the author of Teach the Beat. All right, so this show right here is for all of my go-go fans who want to know go-go history. All right, so if you're not into go-go history, then this is not the show for you. But if you really want to know what happened and how go-go was derived and how it came to be and how some of you are eating today off this music right now, or just enjoy the music as a fan, you'd like to know how it came to be, this is the show here for you. All right? So, once again, I'm Nico the GoGoologist, and we're going to get into this special tribute today about the history of go-go with Kenny Barnes Sr. So, when we come right back, we're going to talk to Kenny Barnes. All right? Keep it locked right here. You're tuned into the GoWIN Radio Show right here on GoGo Radio Live.
Right now, I want to tell you about we the people, we the people. It's about we the people. We the people, we the people, we the people, oh, we the people, we the people, we the people, we the people. Get it. When are we the people gonna be able to see it together? Together. Loving one another can be easier than lifting a feather. A feather. If you can love your brother, brother can love another. Whenever we the people understand one another, we the people can love each other. We the people. When are we the people gonna be able to sit together? Together. Loving one another can be easier than lifting a feather. A feather. If you can love your brother, brother can love another. Whenever we the people understand one another, we the people can love each other. We the people. Can't seem to make up our minds, no. Which way we wanna be, no. We the people. 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 We the people.
All right, welcome back to the GoWIN Radio Show right here on GoGo Radio Live. Yeah, there we go. All right, so let me introduce my guest right here. If you didn't catch the earlier monologue, I want to tell you about this brother. First and foremost, his son was a very good friend of mine, and he was unfortunately killed unsensibly quite a few years back ago, and it wasn't too long that we all had vacation. We went to Jamaica together, had a good time, and he had a store back on what was that, 11th and U Street, Northwest, a clothing store, and I'm talking about Kenny Barnes Jr. And this is his father, and after his son was murdered, he put together a foundation to, matter of fact, and you can get into it a little bit more, Mr. Barnes, but it was in his son's name to go against senseless violence and really to look after those who are in need of help. So but he also is, and I'm gonna let him tell a lot more about this, is one of the originators or the founders of our music, far as the events and whatnot, and how go-go came to be. And this is not me saying this. There is evidence of this that was said by the Godfather himself, Chuck Brown. So, Kenny Barnes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us today. There's been a lot of noise on the internet disputing these facts, but let's talk a little bit about you and your history first. First of all, how you doing today?
Well, you remember that Cheech and Chong movie? Cold Up and Smoke. Well, y'all had to drag me up these stairs. But I'm back. I'm ready now.
It's rough. Trust me, it took me a whole year for me to come back from my accident before I came up these stairs.
Yeah.
So I definitely know what you're going through.
But no, I'm doing.
But not to the extent that you're going through it though.
But I'm back, and I'm feeling pretty good. Thanks, Nico.
No problem. No problem. So tell us a little bit about first and foremost, your foundation that you started after your son was killed.
Yes, I decided I would go back to school. I had retired on disability, and I went to UDC, and I got my undergraduate degree in psychology. Magna cum laude, by the way, Rico. Okay. Magna cum laude.
Okay.
And then I got my master's in clinical psychology from UDC. And then I went to Loyola College in Baltimore, where there wasn't but maybe 2 or 3 black people on the campus. I may have been the first, I don't know. And I was working on my doctorate there. I was going into my 3rd year when I got the news. No parent wants to hear, and that my son had been shot. I rushed home and waited at the house until I could find out exactly what was going on. And help you, excuse me, had this terrible cold. And my daughter-in-law called me and told me he had been shot. I rushed up to Howard University Hospital, and there I saw him, laying on a gurney with a plume the size of a fist in his head. And right then and there, I just said, I have to do something about this. And so what I did was, first right here, when somebody gets shot, Nico, you're out from the community. I mean, we're from the inner city community. I grew up in Trinidad. You always know, somebody knows. If they like you, they will tell you. If they don't like you, they don't pay you any mind. Right. But they're not going to tell the police. So it just so happened, a little young drug dealer was in front of the store, and he came to me and said, Mr. Barnes, I know exactly who it is. and I know where you can find them. Okay? Later found out that this young person had killed at least 3 people during the course of a year. Escaped from YSA, it was called there. It's called DRS now. And it killed 3 people during the course of that year.
Mm-hmm.
When I found that out, I was really upset. And the way I found it out was a newspaper reporter by the name of Soul Chan called me. They were doing a big article called Homes of Last Resort. They called me and said, Mr. Barnes, you're not going to believe this. Your son should not be dead. I said, what are you talking about? Well, come to find out that these young people were just running away from YSA. And the police weren't doing anything about it. Nobody was doing anything about it. And they were doing all kind of acts, committing crimes, murders. And so he said that they should never let him out. Well, when I found that out, I found out I needed to get involved. And I felt I needed to get involved because nobody was really paying attention at that time. Black people, our kids were being murdered, and they weren't really paying attention. So at that time, he got killed about the same time. A white stop shop, a white store got killed in Georgetown. We both got killed at the same time. The white store owner was all over the news. And my son wasn't in any news at all until I got involved. And I wanted, just like they know about white people getting killed, I want to know that a black kid got killed. And that's when I became involved.
And what's the name of the foundation you founded?
It's called Roots, like the root of a tree.
Right.
ROOTING, Root Incorporated, Rootinc.org.
Okay.
And from there began my campaign. I think it's about one of the first times I'm saying this thing called, but I had 3 goals. When I first started formulating what I was going to do. I know what I felt like doing, but what I was going to do. And the first goal was, I need to get the person. I need to get the person who murdered my son.
Right.
Okay, it's like I say, excuse my voice.
Yeah, that's a natural instinct, of course.
And so I did that, and he ended up turning himself in.
Yep.
And you gotta ask, why was this kid who had killed 12 people, why would he turn himself in on the 3rd one? Well, you go figure it out yourself. You can think about that for a minute yourself. So I accomplished one goal. But then when I found out that the people who held this young man in check, they let him go. He just walked out. And that's all they were doing at that time. And so, no, this can't last like this. So I started my campaign against that agency. And the next thing you know, that agency was disbanded. And that's that agency is known as DRS today, Department of Rehabilitation Services. But it was a direct result of the actions I did. And then, I guess you know, if you've been in Washington, you've seen or heard about some of the things we've done to try to prevent gun violence. I got 2 days named in my honor in Washington, D.C. on Kenny Barnes Day, December 3rd and May the 5th. It's like what I can say about that, but I don't want to go into all that.
Because I remember you was all over the news. They had you over every news channel, and talking about that. So let's move over onto a more happier thought. Well, first and foremost, how did this drama get all started up on Facebook about you and far as how GoGo got started? What was the situation, and how? Because I still to this day I have not found the so-called thread, as far as the argument, as far as with you and various different members, because that particular Facebook page is synonymous with a lot of drama. So it seems like you got caught up in the thread.
Well, yes.
Or the web, I should say.
Yeah, with a couple of people. But it started out with, I had no idea that the museum was coming into being. I had no idea about that at the time. I just said, I'm getting older now, and I wanted my family and to know the history, the real history, rather than what some of these people are saying out here. They don't have a clue. Some of these people that are talking about go-go do not know every clue. It's the way it started. So that's how I got on Facebook with him. And the go-go reports too.
Right.
I'm on the go-go reports. So I just posted an article. I posted a comment the first of the year. And what I did was, and I explained what I was doing. I explained that as the year's beginning, and I'm not getting any younger, I want everybody, and I want DC, and I wanted my family to know. My family already knows. But I wanted DC to know, whenever you have people, well, let's go start. Where does it begin? And they'll say, Chuck Brown, or women dance in a club in boots, some kind of crazy stuff like that. And so I said, let me tell you the truth about how I began, the who, what, where, why, and when. And that's what I did. Well, immediately I got a couple of questions. I tried to answer them the best I could. And thank you for letting me come on the show to answer them.
No, it's my pleasure. Because a lot of people don't know that you're related to one of the go-go greats. And we talking about Go-Go Mickey.
Yeah.
You know, and you're his cousin.
Right.
You know, and so you definitely have a ground. I mean, not even just with, you know, the fact that you're related to him, but you're just not just someone just out the blue.
I'm not no crackpot.
Right.
Trying to say something that's not true. And what's crazy to me, though?
Oh, wait a minute. I did just find it. So can I read this to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, this is your message to people in the Go-Go Report. Like you said, the first of the year, you said, Happy New Year, everyone.
Right.
As many of us do every year, I'm preparing a list of resolutions for this upcoming year. Among them, first and foremost, is my leaving a legacy behind for my family that will pass down to generations to come. On April 3rd, 2020, I'll be 75 years of age. Some of you may not know of me and who I am. All of you may have known of my son, Kenny Barnes Jr., who was murdered in September 2001, just like I spoke of earlier. There are many accomplishments that I've achieved in dealing with my son's murder and gun violence in 2002. I formed an organization, Root, Reaching Out to Others Together Incorporation. My organizations and I received numerous awards, resolutions, proclamations, citations throughout the DMV as well as nationally. For example, there are 2 days named in my honor in D.C., May 5th and December the 3rd. Very few people know that after my son's murder, I was directly involved and the single most individual person, along with a newspaper article in the Washington Post titled Homes of Last Resort, written by Sewell Chain, that's led to the demise of YSA and currently know DYRS. However, you gotta tell us what that means in a second. However, this is not the reason why I'm connecting with you in the Go-Go Report and the Heartbeat Conga Hour. All right. For once and for all, I want for you to know that and to share with your friend on how Go-Go began and its roots. This is for those of you who wish to know the truth and not speculate. It's not an attempt to convince those who wish not to believe the truth, for it does not matter what the truth is, no matter the evidence to them. I wish to reveal to you another musical accomplishment I guarantee none of you are aware. The first black musical concert in the Kennedy Center was the musical world of Quincy Jones, featuring the Brothers Johnson in the early 70s, promoted by the late Mel Edwards and myself. As regards to go-go, the first go-go event was promoted, produced, and became go-go music that we know today began in a place called the Quad Room on Barlow Road in Palmer Park, Maryland. Currently is known as Sugar Ray Leonard's Gym. The late Mel Edwards of WOL Radio and I wanted to start a weekly event at that time for those old enough to remember. And most of y'all in the Go-Go Report definitely are not old enough. I can say that for a fact.
Yeah.
All right. For those old enough to remember, the end thing for everyone was attending weekly cabarets. We wish to have something differently on weekly basis to do. I came up with the name Friday Night Go-Go, name after the musical song by Smokey Robinson, Going to a Go-Go. It began at 12 p.m. to 6 a.m. The cost was $3 before 12 and $5 after. When we decided who would be in the featured band, we agreed it would be Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers. The reason why we selected Chuck Brown is because they were considered the best band in the city at the time. They weren't just the best band, but also the best cover band as well. They would record that sounded better than the original artists. It is in the fact that at the time that Chuck Brown was experimenting when they performed on a unique sound, but that sound had no name. So when we selected Chuck Brown as the lead group to perform, there was no such thing as go-go music. In fact, backup group that performed included such groups as Black Heat, the Aggression Band and Show, Shadow and the Brute Band and Show, the Unique Sound, and the Soul Searchers. Have been working on several years, became known as go-go music, and developed by Chuck Brown at the Squad Room. I have talked to Charles Stephenson, who will be calling in later on, who wrote the original book on go-go music, where he wrote the roots and the sound of go-go music was created by Chuck Brown at the Squad Room. And I talked to one of the original Soul Searchers, Pope, and he remembered as well. I was a guest several times on the Heartbeat Conga Hour. I was introduced to Heartbeat by Daryl Brooks of CD Productions that verified to Heartbeat that this is correct. When I was on Heartbeat Show, I talked with John Buchanan, and he said that this was absolutely not true. So for John and all the others, please remember back when we hired you back when there was no such thing as Go-Go Group. Chuck became the godfather of Go-Go beginning at the Squad Room and not before. I'm including the link, perhaps the last interview with Chuck before he died. Actually, I had the last interview before Chuck died.
Okay. I apologize. I didn't know that.
So we had him on our station, put it like that.
I didn't know that.
Furthermore, for those who are unaware, though, Chuck Brown created go-go music and was the godfather. The first band that began strictly a go-go band was Trouble Funk, featuring Big Tony. For several years, as regarding go-go music, there was no one performing but Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers until the arrival of Trouble Funk. After we closed down the Squad Room, we moved to a new venue in Dodge Park in Maryland called the Club LeBaron. In actuality, this was the first truly all go-go production. Again, we hired Chuck Brown, but this was when he was known for go-go music, and we had Trouble Funk as backup band or the opening band. If anyone wishes to dispute, challenge, and have any questions, first of all, he's here right now. All right, so we can get into all of that if y'all want.
Yeah, let's get right along.
All right, don't hesitate to contact him.
Yeah, don't
all right.
hesitate.
So he got a picture right here of Quincy Jones, Gregory Hines, and he said he don't know who the woman is.
I don't.
All right, so got quite a few comments right here from a bunch of different people. So tell me, with all that being said, do you have any more to elaborate on that? Because Hold up. Is Charles? Well, I guess he's going to call in, so we'll let Charles speak for himself. So, but there was quite a few comments. So, what was the reaction to when you made this post?
I think it was somewhat. It was a combination of three things. One, man, I'm glad to know that story. Two, kind of ambivalence. And three, no, you didn't.
Right.
You know, and that's what I'm saying. For people who can say no, you didn't, and don't know where it began, how it began, that's ridiculous to me. You don't know how it started, but you didn't do it.
That's because they don't know who you are. I actually had Daryl Brooks on my show last year, actually, and we had a very long interview, and he spoke of that event that you're speaking of at the Squad Room. He talked about it then. He talked about putting together the event and how all that started. So you was in conjunction with him at that time?
Well, let me give you a little story about Daryl Brooks. I hope he's listening.
Okay.
I never talked about this before either. So no one's ever done it. First time on your show, Nico. Back at that time, I was a concert promoter too. Mel Edwards and I were concert promoters. If anybody remembers Mel Edwards. And we got together and we formed this group called DJ Productions, which consisted of the WL disc jockeys. So we began promoting concerts. We got Natty Cole. We did a tour with Natty Cole. We did a Bottom Funkadelic. And we ran Brooks's Rubber Band. You name it, we did it. Anyway, at that time, Bill Washington was forming his organization called Dimensions Unlimited. What most people don't realize is Dimensions Unlimited was a white arm for Celador Productions. Celador Productions, which is owned by a guy by the name of Jack Wall, who owns a nightclub over in Georgetown called Celador, called the Civic Celador. We were taking all the artists, and they didn't like it. So they submitted a report to the FCC and complaining about WL disc jockeys. And they complained about payola and plug-ola.
They had payola going on back then too, huh? Payola been around since the inception of radio. So.
Well, let me tell you this. What I said to Chuck Brown on that interview is the exact same thing that's going on with me right now. Even though I'm not making a dollar. Same thing's going on with me. That's what's going on in the city. But anyway, so they were just trying to get us to stop promoting concerts. Anyway, nobody was charged, and they got out free. They said 2 people, killed 2 people. She came with the direct result of what I did, what I began. One, of course, is Daryl Brooks. Gregory Irons was with us with DJ Productions. Gregory Irons got about the entertainers and took them to Daryl Brooks. And what was his company's name? I forget what his company's name was. And so they became big promoters because they got all the talent from us. And when I see Daryl now, he said, thank you for your, okay. And first, who was directly responsible as well, Kathy Hughes. Most people don't know that story either. Kathy Hughes was she was like the staff person at WHR from promoting the music. She was a music salesperson, advertising salesperson. Her name was Kathy Hughes. Well, with that charge and authorized stuff, WL decided and they want to go out of business. And then WL, it was owned by the Sonderling, was owned by the Sonderling Corporation. Kathy Hughes bought the Sonderling Corporation. And that's how Kathy Hughes got started.
Oh, she's balling out now. Wow. So, I mean, what was her business interest in order for her to, because she obviously had to be well endowed in order for her to buy them out like that.
She was a salesperson, advertising salesperson
Right.
at WHR. So whenever we need some promos, we would call Kathy Liggins.
Right.
But
Yeah, but I mean, it still would take a lot of money to buy out a radio station.
I don't know where she got the money from.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't know where she got the money from. But what I'm saying is, something decided they were fed up, and they decided to sell it. And Kathy was the one that bought them out.
Okay.
And so Kathy, if you all remember, Kathy was running the WL on a station on 4th and 8th Street.
Yeah, oh yeah, I definitely remember. We used to listen to her in the morning. She used to have the morning show.
She'd be in the window.
Yep.
Most people don't know that either. But,
I mean, we grew up on her.
I mean, most people don't know that story.
I mean, I did. I mean, you know.
Oh, you know the
She
story?
was before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, but when I was a kid, you know, when we going to school, we used to listen to her.
Did you know how she got there, though? Did you know how we were all kind of tangled in together? Did you know that is what I meant? And it was as a direct result of that big old scandal. WL went out of business, decided to sell the company.
Because what?
Because that big old scandal.
Really?
Yeah. That's why WL got out of business. And Kathy was bought it.
No, I never knew that.
That's what I'm telling you. Most people don't know that either. And I'm hoping that's going to be known soon. I'm hoping it will. A lot of things that I've been involved with that most people don't know.
Well, tell us as far as like how. Well, I mean, you wrote it in this piece on Facebook. You and your partner started doing the overnight. Well, what's 12 to 6 go-go. I mean, and matter of fact, I saw the piece that you sent me, and Chuck said sometimes it would go to 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So
Let's go, Chuck. We get there late.
Cause Chuck be doing other gigs.
He'll be double booking.
Yeah.
Chuck will be double booking.
Yeah. I mean that ain't nothing new. They still doing it nowadays, but.
Hey, let me give you one time, Nico. One time we were doing an event from 12 to 6. Chuck and me got there about 4:30. And I'm like, Chuck, what the heck? What's going on, man? It's almost 5 o'clock. He said, Kenny, I don't hear nothing. Just pay me my money, and I'll play as long as you want me to.
Wow.
Right? But this at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right. And they still party.
Yeah.
All right. So Charles will be calling in a minute now.
Well, Charles is the one who wrote the first book about go-go.
Right. Let me make sure he's calling in. And while, because I'm going to ask him, I'm not going to jump out there. Ready for you.
Charles and I knew each other back then. What we're talking about, Nico, is 45 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about 75, right?
Well, actually, probably around 72, when it began our squad room.
Oh, 72, the squad room?
72, you probably.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, shoot.
I don't remember the exact date, to be honest, but I think it was around 72.
Okay. So, let me see if Charles is calling in, but let me ask you this then, before Charles called in. At that time, because we had a member of the Young Senators in here, and I interviewed him before, and he said that they started go-go. So what is your thoughts on that?
That's really a joke. That's what my thoughts are. That's really a joke.
I mean, how so?
Well, first of all, if you ever heard the Young Senators play, they were not a go-go band.
I mean, they claim that they did.
No,
They started the sound of, well, put it like this. They started the sound of go-go.
No, they didn't. Chuck Brown started the sound. The sound of go-go. Well, I'm telling you he's wrong. I'm telling you he's wrong. Everybody but him. Everybody in Washington, D.C. but him. If that's what he says, he's the only one that doesn't know that Chuck Brown started the sound.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, that's renowned around here in this area. But, you know, I've talked to a lot of old heads, as we would call them in our city, and some people, I've heard people say Black Heat was the first band.
No. No.
Said Young Senators.
No.
But I guess because there was a lot of bands that actually had congas in their band.
Yes.
Yes. That doesn't make you a go-go band.
Well,
because you had congas in your band.
Yeah, congas and the cowbells.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but everybody had the big congos back then. And then it developed until Jungle Boogie from Rare Essence, which was the band. There you go, right there. Hello, Charles.
It's me.
Hey, Charles, how you doing? This is
I'm all right.
And of course, we got Kenny Barnes Sr.
Hey, Charles. Hey, Charles.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Hey, Charles, what's up?
All right.
Hey, nothing. How you doing, Kenny?
All right. Well, welcome to the GoWIN Radio Show. We'd like to welcome you to our listeners on the GoGo Radio Live network, on our YouTube channel, our Facebook Live channel, as well as our app. For those of y'all who don't know who Charles Stephenson is, not only is he the author of the book Teach the Beat, but he's also the original manager of Experience Unlimited.
Right.
Some of you, or most of you, know as EU now.
Right.
Charles has been around. When did you start, Charles? Like 78, around there?
No, more like 70, 71.
Oh, excuse me. I'm talking about working with EU, though.
That's what I'm talking about. 71.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
stand corrected. So,
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about how you got. I mean, for those, and I'm sure a lot of those who tuned in right now don't necessarily know who you are, because it's a whole new generation of go-go out here right now.
Right.
And for those who have not picked up your book, give us a little background yourself.
Okay, I'll give you a background how I got in touch. I started working with EU.
Yes.
I was working in Southeast as a community organizer, and I did a lot of work with young people. I was part of and Kenny probably remembers this, Youth Opportunity Services.
Yes.
In Washington, and so with Jimmy Gray. Jimmy Young.
Jimmy Young.
Used to run that.
Right.
And in D.C. back in those days, Nico, you had in all eight wards, you had Youth Opportunity Services had programs, and we worked with young people. And I was living in Southeast, and one night I heard these guys playing, and right across the hall from me, I went and knocked on the door. Me and my best friend Morris Johnson, and it was Sugar Bear and Andre and some other guys in the apartment practicing. And so, as an organizer working with young people, when they asked me to manage them, Zico, I couldn't say no. And I really had that was not no desire of mine, but working with young people and seeing these young guys at the time, this is 1970, 1971, and they tried to do something positive, so I couldn't tell them no. Well, that's Charles, how I started working with them.
Charles, what made them reach out to you per se? Like, what was it they saw in you to make them want to ask you?
You know what it was, Nico? The fact that we were just interested. You know what I mean? It was nothing more than that. They didn't really know me. It was the fact that we interest in them. That we gave them some suggestions in terms of what they were doing and all that. But again, we just were interested. That's all it was.
And it's funny you said that, because that's all it really takes nowadays with the kids today. If we show some interest in them, then maybe
that's it.
Maybe they would go in a different course. But let's go along the lines as far as what Mr. Barnes is here for today. He said that and it's been a little ruckus up on Facebook in regards to this. And I read the whole. I don't know if you was tuned into the show earlier, but I read the whole statement that he made on Facebook as far as how he got started in the squad room with Chuck. So what is your recollection of his recallment of how things got started?
Well, okay, let me lay this out because, and Kenny and I have talked about this,
Yeah.
but Nico, your audience needs to understand that we come at it from two different spheres. Kenny was more, how can I say, he was more, he was working with the DJs at the time, and he was a promoter. He was big time. At the time, I mean, I'm working with EU. Like I said, I was a community organizer. I'm in the community, working on the ground, on the grassroots with the band. And so I had a different view from what was going on the street than Kenny, because Kenny again was working with the DJs and the powers that be and all that, and I'm working on the ground.
Right.
So you know what I mean. So my view was maybe a little different than what was happening with how Kenny saw it and what he was doing. Okay. Yeah, because Kenny and I go back and forth about. I'll give a good example about Trouble Funk. Kenny thinks that Trouble Funk, outside of Chuck, was the most instrumental group that started other groups to play in go-go. Well, what I explained to Kenny in terms of EU, I'll never forget this, Nico, when Bear came to one practice one day, and he said, look, man, we got to change our style. Because he had just saw Essence, and he said, man, them boys are killing. And it was that desire and that statement is when EU changed its format, more or less its style, and we started playing the beat.
But Charles, you remember what I said? You remember what I said though about EU? Now, what I said was that Chuck was first. Anybody? Nico just told me that a dude from Young Citizens said they started go-go, which is absolutely there's no truth in that at all.
I can't remember the gentleman's name. I feel bad about it, but I had him on our show before, and he disputed the fact that Chuck was the godfather of go-go, that the Young Senators.
Okay. You talk about Jimmy Dugan's. Well, let me say it. Okay, Nico. Here's the deal. And Kenny backed me up on this.
Okay.
It's two things were going on. Okay, you had the go-go, which was the actual dance hall. You know, you said you're going to a go-go, you were going to dance. So I came from New York, and we would just go to a dance. In D.C., at the same time, they would say they were going to a go-go. So it was the fact that you went to a go-go, and there were live bands that would be playing. Now, when I first started going to the go-go, when I started managing EU, the top band, without any, it was no argument. The top band in D.C. was the Young Senators, okay? And they might have been the top band, at the go-go, but they didn't play go-go music. The bands then were more self-contained bands, and they would, pattern themselves after Earth, Wind and Fire, Mandrill, Kool and the Gang, and all that.
That's what they played. That's the kind of music they played.
Well, Mr. Bond said that he actually started the term the go-go.
Yeah.
He may have. I don't know. I mean, no. Actually, they started using it after Smokey Robinson going to a go-go, that kind of thing.
Right.
Now I don't know who pushed it out there. It might have been Kenny, and you said Mel Edwards and the rest of the guys at the time.
Daryl Brooks said the same thing. I had him here as well. So,
What did Daryl say?
Daryl said the same thing that Kenny said. He said that event at the Squad Room that they're speaking of was the first go-go.
Right.
Yeah. That might be right.
Yeah. See, Charles, I know Charles and I have talked about this. Charles is thinking about, how do I explain, a generic, like these boots are made for walking or something like that. Generic concern. What I'm speaking about is the music that we all adhere to today.
Right.
That's all I'm speaking about. It's the music that Chuck Brown created. And Chuck Brown and the Soul Sisters created. I don't see how anybody could doubt that. And Charles is right. That's the genre of music that the Young Senators were playing. Matter of fact, I told Charles, I never thought EU was a go-go band. And I'll see why.
EU used to be more of a rock band.
Yeah.
Funk, right.
Yeah, so that my father introduced me to EU. Because
Say what?
My father actually, not EU, he introduced me to the sound of Experience Unlimited because he was into that sound.
Okay, all right.
The rock sound.
Right.
You know?
Right,
And
right.
So, kind of like how Funkadelic was. You had Funkadelic and you had Parliament.
Right.
You know,
Right, exactly.
Parliament was the singing group. Funkadelic was kind of like the funk rock group.
If you remember, Charles, if you remember, that's why you changed their name to Experience Unlimited. They changed their name because they wanted to be a go-go band. But that was 10, 12 years later.
Wait. Okay, hold up. Okay. We're getting beside ourselves. Experience, they didn't change the name. Experience Unlimited, they changed that name came about because of their affection for Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, okay.
Right.
And they wanted the Jimi Hendrix experience, and they didn't want to limit what they were doing, what they were playing.
Okay.
Right.
So the Experience Unlimited came about because of that, because they didn't want there to be any I guess parameters on what they played. Right. They wanted to play whatever they wanted to play. But so that's why the name was Experience Unlimited. But we say this now. But in terms of what Chuck was playing, even back then, Chuck was playing what we used to call the beat. And Chuck, would keep playing, and before, he would not stop after he played a song. His cooler player would continue to play, and he would keep people on the dance floor. And so, a lot of the other bands, only other band I think back then that might have tried to play what he was doing was the Aggression. But the other bands, 95th Congress, Brute, Osiris, everybody else was really trying,
rock.
Yeah, I wouldn't call them go-go bands. I mean, they were go-go bands because they played at the go-go.
Yeah.
See, that's where we get confused. They played at the go-go.
None of them.
But you see what I'm saying? But they didn't play go-go music.
Yeah.
Because that was established later on.
That was established then. I had Brute, I had all those bands at the Squadron. And the reason why you and I talked about it, because when we started the Friday Night Go-Go, there was no such thing as go-go music. It was not.
That's what I'm saying. Right. It wasn't. I know. Right.
And
it wasn't.
And Chuck would experiment with a sound. But also, go-go music is a call and response type music too.
Right, exactly.
Chuck Brown, for 8 or 9 years, only person doing that was Chuck Brown.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only one.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Yeah, I agree.
Well, Charles, this is my dispute, and God rest his soul, Chuck Brown.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of digress from everybody always, and I'm very close with the family.
Mm-hmm.
I say Chuck didn't start go-go. Chuck's drummer started go-go.
Now, which one are you talking about?
You know what I'm saying?
Which drummer are you talking about, though?
And I'm talking about, if I remember correctly, it was Sugarfoot Ricky's father, correct?
Well, Sugarfoot Ricky's father, but then it was a guy, Kim Boy.
It was one before him, right?
It was Kim Boy.
Kim Boy, okay.
Yeah, he was really the one, See, I mean, here's the thing, and I hear where you're going because it's so interesting because it was just so much going on at the time. You had so many bands, Kenny. I mean, like I said, I just named some of them, man. 95th Congress, 100 Years Time, the Matadors, the Black Heat, and all these bands were good, Nico. These bands were. They were some good bands. They were some all these bands could have been national without. Am I right? Am I right, King?
That's right, Sean.
I mean, they were some great bands.
All of them were good.
But I think again, with Chuck kind of distinguished himself from the rest of the bands, is he was basically a dance band.
Right.
The other bands, I mean, like Brute, Osiris, they played stuff for your soul. They were more into the messages and stuff like that. But Chuck, man, you came to hear Chuck. You just came to party, to dance.
Right. And Chuck,
you know what I mean? And I think that the beat kind of evolved. And so his drummer was very important. I think it was Kim Boy, and then it was Sugarfoot came later on. And when Sugarfoot got it was gone.
Sugarfoot,
the beat,
it
was gone.
He was with Reds,
yeah. But for the people listening, what I want them to understand is it kind of evolved.
It was Ricky Relman's father that was Chuck's. I originally heard that was his original drummer, but then I heard otherwise, like you said, Kim Boy was first, and then Ricky Weldon's father, then Ricky Weldon came in.
Right. Okay, that might be right. You might be right. That might be right. I mean, but I'm gonna say the drummer that I remember was Kim Boy.
Right.
And you're right. Ricky's father may have been in on the mix. I remember Kim Boy because when I really started following Chuck, from Burn Manor and Panorama Room and the Jima Ballroom, all them spots. You remember them, Masonic Temple?
Hey, Charles, hold on right there. The Panorama Room. No go music. Chuck was a cover band. When he played it, when he was at the Panorama Room and the Knights of Columbus and the Burgundy Room, he was a cover. He was a cover band. There wasn't no go-go music. There wasn't no go-go music.
No, you're right. Yeah. You're absolutely. But see, here's the thing. When I first, but in 1970, 71, before Young Senators left,
right,
the back of Eddie Kendricks,
right,
they were the top band in DC.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, do you agree with me on that?
Yeah. Well, yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. They were the top band. They would have. You had them, and then for second, you might even had an argument between Chuck and Black Heat.
Yeah.
It was almost like the junkyard and backyard now.
Yeah.
I mean, because Black Heat, Nico, them boys they were not to be played with.
You're right. You're right. It's Casey in the sound service and groups like that. Yeah. But
they were a little slicker. I mean, Casey in the sound service and again, the aggression, they were a little bit slicker, but Black Heat, them boys were tough.
Yeah, they were tough.
They were tough.
They were tough. But again, when I wrote the pieces that I wrote in the Go-Go Report, if you notice, I always said Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers. Every time.
Yeah.
I never separated the Soul Searchers from Chuck Brown. As far as the music was concerned.
Well, when Chuck first came out, when it was just the Soul Searchers, they weren't playing Go-Go.
They were what? They were what?
They were not playing Go-Go.
No such thing.
Right. They weren't. No such exactly.
Thing. They didn't start Go-Go music. Didn't start until the Squad Room. That's when it became known as Go-Go music. Right? When we hired Chuck Brown, they were not a Go-Go artist. They were just like Charles said. They had to run for their money with the young fellas.
They did. Yeah. Now I don't think when the Squad Room opened, I think the Young Citizens might have already been gone. Were they gone, or did the Citizens play out there too?
Right. And
they were gone?
Yeah, because like I said, what's that gentleman name from the Young
Jimmy Dugans.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so he said that himself. So when I had him in there, he said that himself.
Well, like John.
So you go back to Jimmy Dugans, right? The Senators, the spots that were hot when the Senators were out there were like the Burgundy Room, Brian Manor,
Knights of Columbus, Burn Manor.
Knights of Columbus, Panorama Room.
Yeah.
Those spots were really, the Squad Room hadn't really popped up yet.
No.
Oh, then there was other joint that they might have played in, who was that joint in Maryland, right off of Sheriff Road? The Ebony Inn?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The Ebony Inn, yeah.
Tommy
So those were really, and then outside of that, Nico, what your audience needs to know, with the cabarets, that's where everybody got busy.
I remember, Charles, what I wrote, you and I talked about, everything was a cabaret. Everything was a cabaret. And
that's a cabaret.
Mel Edwards decided, let's do something different. I was I said, what's the name? Friday Night Coco. And to go along with what you're saying, Chuck was a great band. But when we hired Chuck, and I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feeling, Chuck was maybe could do better than all the bands were pretty good. All of them were pretty good. What got Chuck to rise to the top was Go-Go music. That's what separated Chuck from every other band.
Yeah, because the difference between Chuck and the Senators, man, they gave you a show.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, guys, they dressed, they had antics and stuff like that. Nico, they presented themselves much different.
Yeah.
Than Chuck. Chuck's band just got there. They just played. They didn't dance. You know what I mean? They didn't give you no antics. They just played. They sounded good. They sounded better than the record.
Yeah, because the story.
But the Senators gave you a show. You know.
And the story is that when Eddie Kendricks came to town, when he saw the Young Senators, he said, "Hey, I want them to be my band."
Right.
Oh yeah. Without a doubt, that's right.
But they were not a go-go band. I don't know what Jimmy. I know
Hey,
Jimmy.
I'm just telling you that's what he
I'm
said.
saying I know Jimmy.
No, but I just look at. I think what Jimmy's saying, and I'm not speaking for Jimmy, 'cause I'd never do that.
Right.
But I think because they played in the Go-Go at the time. They still the places were still called Go-Go's.
Well, no,
By the time
I'm gonna tell you
the
exactly.
Senators left.
Charles, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm gonna tell you exactly what he said because, like I said,
Okay, go ahead.
It's on tape. You know, we
All
have
right, what'd he say?
we have it on our YouTube channel and all of that, so we have it on tape. He said we started the sound of Go-Go.
No.
That's what he
No.
said.
They weren't playing any type of
No,
music.
they didn't start the sound of Go-Go.
No, that was Chuck Brown and the Soul
That was
Sisters.
Chuck Brown.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Jimmy, man. That's my boy. I mean, really. I mean, but when it comes to the actual sound,
Chuck Brown.
no.
Chuck Brown.
I mean, look here. The Matadors didn't play Go-Go. Distance didn't play Go-Go. Brute didn't play Go-Go.
None of-
Osiris,
none of
the
them played
95th
Go-Go.
Congress, 100 Years Time, the Aggression, Black Heat.
Charles.
All of them did not play
None of
Go-Go
them played
music.
go-go music. None of them.
None of them.
None of them. And what I keep trying to get across to you, Nico, there was no such thing as go-go music. So for
No, it wasn't. That started with Chuck, and then Trouble, then Essence, and when Trouble and Essence got busy, I'm gonna tell you what happened, Nico. I'm gonna tell you what happened. One of the reasons why we had to flip, because right around that mid-70s time when disco music.
Wait a minute, Charles. For our listeners, I just wanted, for those who might just be tuning in, first and foremost, I have to reset it because I'm watching people just popping in and popping out. So for those who don't know, once again, this is Charles Stephenson, the original manager of Experience Unlimited. So when he says we, he's speaking of Experience Unlimited.
Right.
All right?
Right,
All
okay, okay.
Come on back, Charles. You good.
Okay, so right around the mid-70s when the disco music got real popular, and what started happening is the street disc jockeys, like Tricky Rick and Tommy Hall, who God rest his soul just passed, but a lot of and Maniac, McLeod, all them guys started getting a lot of the cabarets, getting a lot of the shows because they were a little cheaper. They're not a little cheap. They were cheaper, and they kept people on the dance floor. That's what people wanted to do, Nico. They wanted to dance.
Right.
So, the bands had to make a decision because bands were starting to fall out because they were not getting the jobs. And that's when Chuck decided, man, I got to change this beat so I can continue to work, and that's what he did. And so a lot of the other bands didn't want to do that. They wanted to stay true to their art, true to their music, and they didn't want to change. And unfortunately, a lot of them bands I just listed, they fell by the wayside when the music changed.
Charles, I think people get confused with just because you have some congas in your band, that makes you a go-go band.
No.
Seriously, and I think that's where the mishap comes in at because the last Poets had congas in the band. That don't make them a go-go band.
No.
Well, when we started, we had congas. Most of the bands had congas.
Yeah. Right.
We had congas too. We had congas. We had timbales. That didn't make us a go-go band. Mandrill had congas and timbales.
Right.
But
so the Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the point. The point I'm trying to make, Nico, for your audience is early on, most of the bands then were trying to parrot what was popular in terms of music at that point in time. So in the 70s, the early 70s, the music that was popular in that point in time was coming from Earth, Wind, and Fire, Kool and the Gang, Mandrill, those Parliament, and most of all of them had congas.
Right.
So you're right. The conga did not make you a go-go band.
No.
The conga, though, brought that soul element, brought that African touch to the music, that Latin touch. But it didn't make you a go-go band.
No.
Nope.
No.
Most of those bands, the Senators had congas. Most of the bands I mentioned had congas.
Yeah.
And Chuck had one of the best conga players in the world, but he didn't play go-go.
Yeah. But Charles.
That boy could play.
Who
he didn't play go-go,
Charles?
Though.
Who?
So the point. The point here's the point.
Hey Charles, what was the name you said again? I'm sorry.
What? What name was?
You said was one of the best conga players ever.
I think his name was Lino. What was his name? Lino Pruitt. What was his name? Kenny. Played with Chuck.
They call him Thunder, didn't they?
Huh?
What was his nickname? Thunder?
I can't understand. What was
his nickname?
I think his name was Lino. He played up until.
Who did he play with?
Chuck. He played with Chuck.
Okay.
He played with Chuck. So maybe somebody in your audience will remember him, but he played with Chuck. He played with Chuck for a long time. If you go back and look at Chuck's old, when they were Soul Searchers, that conga player, the brother played congas, was with him for a long time.
I can't be so long. I can't remember that.
I think it was Lino.
No,
yeah, but anyway.
No, Leroy played horns.
No, Leroy played horns.
Yeah.
And John McGann
Lino played horns.
Yeah.
No, we had Donald Tillery, the sax player, was my man. He still played. He played with Funk Now.
What Nico was saying, the tall light skinned brother. The tall light skinned brother. What's his name?
Yeah.
Right. I'm having a brain fog. I
can't remember his name. It'll come to me.
Right.
But anyway, he was Chuck's conga player. But most of the bands had congas at the time. So to back up your point, Nico, because you had congas did not make you a go-go band. But where I was going with this is right around, we got to like 78, 79, right around that period. Most of those bands I talked about, they stopped functioning. Fathers, Children, a lot of them bands stopped functioning. And the bands that were, making the money then was Trouble, Essence, and then you had some others, Mass, Mass came a little bit later, but Hot Cold Sweat, I mean, they changed their tune, so it was a whole new configuration of bands.
But if you remember,
by the time you got to the late 70s, early 80s, a lot of older bands, I mentioned earlier, they stopped playing.
But if you remember, Charles, Chuck had a free run for about 5 or 6. Chuck had a free run. Go-go music. Chuck had a free run for 5 or 6 or 7 years. He had a free run.
Yeah.
With nobody playing go-go music but him.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was saying, right. I said we used to call it the beat, right. There was nobody playing it but Chuck.
Yeah.
Right, we used to call it the beat. And people didn't want to play it because they thought, they just thought that it was, how can I say it? I don't know, I just thought it was beneath them. They wanted to be more expansive and more creative. They thought they could have played that beat and held the audience and all that kind of stuff, but they wanted to be more expansive and more creative.
But I'll tell you something else, Charles. Chuck Brown stuck true to his faith. He played the same kind of music when he died as when he was alive 45 years ago.
No question. And the thing about Chuck, he was one of the best band leaders because Chuck was playing jazz. He would take old jazz tunes, Nico, and make them go. I mean, like take the A train, go. I mean, going to a not go. What's
going to a go? Mickey Robinson, Smokey Robinson.
Huh?
Going to a go by Smokey Robinson.
No. Anyway, it comes. But I'm trying to say he took old jazz standards and he made them go-go songs.
That came later on, Charles. He wasn't doing that at first. He wasn't doing that at first. He wasn't doing that at first.
He was not doing that at first?
No.
Hey,
well, he was doing more top 40. He was doing more top 40.
Charles, was his name Lino Druitt?
Yes.
Okay.
That's it.
Lino Druitt.
The conga player, right?
Right.
That's what. Okay. All right. That boy could play. That man could play.
Charles.
Yeah.
Chuck.
Yeah, that was it. That was him.
When the go-go music, there's been different stages of go-go music. The early stage or the first stage, so I started being talked about, was there was only Chuck Brown. There was no one else. All right. Until the first stage. And
no, there was no the aggressions every once in a while tried to emulate Chuck.
Yeah, but they were not a go-go band.
But let me tell you, they were not a go-go band. But I'm telling you, toward the end, they tried to emulate Chuck.
Yeah, well,
they did.
Let's be for real.
Matter of fact, you remember now because some of the old guys that would leave Chuck would go to the aggression.
Yeah, let's remember. Everybody tried to emulate Chuck. That's a fact of the matter. Everybody did.
You're right. I mean, he was looking at bad. Chuck was a bad brother, man.
But that's no different.
He had a vision. Nico. He knew what he wanted to do.
But that's no different from the music industry as a whole. You know,
Right.
Whoever's successful, everybody seems to follow the winning trend. You know, so at that time, like you said, Chuck was the top dog in the city after the young senators left town.
The senators left.
Yeah. So when Chuck became the top dog and he became successful and his parties became packed, people want to see. Well, I want to pack my party too. So they're gonna go by the. Yeah, I'll get you some. They're gonna go by what's popular and hot, and so and that's how it worked.
And most people don't know, Chuck was like a roller coaster. I don't know if you remember that, Charles, but Chuck went up and then he came back down, and that's when he started playing the jazz and came back up.
Oh yeah. He went. Okay, he. There was a period right in the '80s where he went down for a minute. That's what. I mean, come on, man. That's what Essence. Let's be real. Essence ruled this town.
Oh yeah.
Okay, Essence, Trouble, and EU. I mean, those three. If you get a show and those three were on, come on, man. That's when we go to the Capitol Center, man.
Right.
Back in the day.
That's right.
I mean, come on, man. You couldn't get no more popular than that.
That's right.
Three local bands, Nico, to the Capitol Center. 20,000 people. 25. I mean.
Right.
That was a mind blowing.
That's right.
So yeah, Chuck, might have taken a little hiatus, but he got his act together, came back. Some of that was due to management, mismanagement, and other kind of stuff too.
Well, I tell you, let's be honest. The mismanagement was Chuck was his own manager.
Huh?
Chuck was his own manager.
Yeah, well, okay, all right. That's the answer to that. No, but I'm not, being smart or anything like that. I think when Chuck hooked up with Tom and some other people,
Tom go for?
But that was late because Rio was managing him before that.
Rio never managed.
Well, he did. Rio did, right? And Rio kept the train on time.
Rio went.
Now I'm gonna tell you, that's another brother that doesn't get his just due.
But Rio was never Chuck's manager.
Rio's a tough brother, man. I'm telling you.
Rio was his backstage manager.
Yeah.
Rio was not Chuck's manager. He was his stage
Rio was what? Say what?
He was like stage manager. Chuck managed himself.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think Rio handled the business for Chuck for a period there.
So if you handling the business for somebody, to me that you managing them.
Well, let me say.
Yeah, I think Rio handled. I mean, I ain't gonna talk for Rio, but I think he handled the whole thing. I mean, but that was also.
Let me say this, John.
Remember now, we went through a whole period when the record company started coming into DC too. And it started causing a lot of. I'm not gonna say confusion, but it was just a lot of stuff going on. Record companies were coming here. It was a lot going on, Nico. Between Def Jam and and then you had Max, and it was just a lot going on in terms of the record part of it, because the records were still pretty popular, and it was just a lot going on. That's what I gotta say. Yeah, it was a lot going on.
A couple of things.
So,
a couple of things I want to say about that. When you and I texted back and we talked, people like all of a sudden Chuck Brown we just met him all of a sudden. We had promoted Chuck on several occasions before we did Friday Night Go. It was one big occasion. It was one big occasion that we did. I don't know if you remember this group called Sir Joe and the Freak Souls. You remember? Sir Joe and the Freak Souls.
Yes.
Sir Joe and the Freak Souls, yeah. Sir Joe, he was bad.
Okay, so what happened was, Sir Joe had a brand new record out. Got so much trouble in my mind.
Right.
Okay.
So much trouble on my mind.
Right.
With you.
Yeah.
So what we did was, Bill and I, we decided to have a battle of the bands. That was way before the Squad Room. And we had Chuck versus Sir Joe at the Panorama Room. So it was way before that. So it's got nothing with me getting introduced to Chuck. At that time, after Go-Go started, I've known him and I've known his family for years. Chuck and I have known each other close to 50 years. I want to say that. Another thing I want to say is God rest his soul. It's for Max Kid. I don't know why in the world Max was going around telling people he started go-go. Max, he never for a concert in his lifetime.
Well, I never heard Max say that because I know Max know that he didn't start go-go.
Yeah, he never wrote a show. To my knowledge, you correct me, Charles, but to my knowledge, he never even promoted a show. Max was a record promoter. That's what Max.
But Max was a record promoter. He was a record promoter. And you know, his family had a business, and Max was able to, you know, expand. And I think he was. I mean, in terms of promoting DC music, man, he was one of the best that did that. I mean, I think he brought.
Yeah.
You know, he made the music national, international. He really did.
Yeah.
I mean, but he didn't start it. I mean,
and he never promoted a concert. Right? They say he started go-go. No. That's another one I was saying. And I like Max, one of the nicest guys you ever met.
I never knew Mac to say he started go-go.
I never heard him say it.
No.
But people
me either. I never heard him say it either. I never heard him say that. I mean, when Max started working, see, remember, here's the deal. Max was a record promoter, and a lot of record promoters back during them days, they were promoting R&B groups, Nico and stuff like that. And then you had this universe of local talent in Washington that was always bubbling, trying to get out, that a lot of people didn't pay attention to. And Max started paying attention to the local groups because he worked with EU. He produced a song we did years ago, you know, and it was his brother Mike who actually worked with Darryl Brooks.
Right.
And the Summer in the Park, so they did the compared to what they did that Summer in the Park thing over here in Anacostia Park. Mike was working with the younger local bands back then. Max was still more concerned with the national groups. You know, he was a record promoter, so, you know, the Stylistics and Delphonas, them kind of groups, he would promote their records, you know. And he later on, he got involved in the local scene. And he was, you know, when he got involved in the local scene, man, he never looked back.
You know, Mike was a vice president, if I'm not mistaken, of Atlantic Records at one time.
That's right. Yeah.
So Max knew what he was doing, and Max could say what he did. And Max got, last I know, he has a thriving business.
Right. Kid
International.
Computer business, yeah.
Kid International, a thriving business. Right. So they do well. Yeah. But Max Kid had nothing to do with Coco except promoted as a record promoter.
Well, I would say they had nothing to do with go-go.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
He didn't have nothing to do with the formation of go-go.
Right.
But he had a lot to do with go-go in terms of promotion and stuff later on.
I would say as a record promoter. You know,
huh?
As a record promoter. Not as a
right.
Not as a promoter.
And I think he really helped, I mean, because the movie he did, you know, which unfortunately didn't turn out right.
And I'll tell you, Chuck Brown was mad, I don't know what.
Huh?
Chuck Brown was mad he did that movie. Chuck was upset about that movie.
Well,
everybody was upset about that movie.
Well, Chuck was supposed to be in it, but he pulled out.
He was upset about
everybody was upset about that movie.
Yeah.
That movie was supposed to promote go-go and end up doing the complete opposite.
Right.
And when we went to the opening, I think it was at the Warner Theater, you could have heard a pin drop. Everybody in that audience was
what?
They were no, I'm telling you, man, we were like, we thought, you know, we got crossed, man. We thought we were crossed, man. It was not pretty.
Yeah.
It was not pretty. It took a long time for and after that, that's when the bands really didn't trust a lot of the record promoters. I'm telling you, it was a period of time when all the record companies were focusing on DC and, you know, Virgin, and all of them were trying to take the bands and everything. And that movie, you know, it soured a lot of the bands. It really did.
Yeah, and it didn't bring the record companies back around.
No.
Well, I tell you, because when Junkyard came out with the Word and Sardines from Def Jam, was that, give me the timeline, was that before the movie dropped or after?
Sardines, Pumpkin Beans.
I thought that was
I think
85.
that might have been after.
85, 86. The movie came out. The movie came out with 84, right?
Yeah, it might have been after.
Okay, so it came out after. So it was like a little drought for a minute. I mean, Junkyard carried because they was kids. They was able to carry carry their weight for a little bit, but
Right.
the major scene really didn't really pop off for a minute until Spike Lee came in and the butt got hot.
Well, remember now you're forgetting we did the thing with Curtis Blow.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but that was before that.
That was before, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to a point. And the point is that there was a lot of interest in what was happening here, music-wise.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But they couldn't put they couldn't put their arms around it. They really couldn't understand it.
No, y'all.
They tried to change us.
No, I'm chilling with Trouble Funk. Y'all did. What was the joint with Curtis Blow? The first joint y'all did.
Party Time.
That's right, Party Time. Yeah, that was a big record too.
That was a big record. Yeah.
That was a big record.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, do you know how that came about? Did I ever tell you the story how that came about?
please.
Okay, this is what we used to do shows at the Coliseum. And back the big three and Chuck, we were at the Coliseum, was EU, Trouble, Essence, and probably Chuck was on the show. And Curtis Blow was supposed to be the headliner. But Curtis checked out the audience. And I don't know who it was, Trouble, or he said, man, he came out of the dressing room, he wanted to know if he could flip it. Because he didn't want to close the show. And we said, of course, yeah, And that's how our relationship started with Curtis Blow. Because he knew that he could not close that show.
He was one of the smart ones because I remember it was a time when rap groups was trying to close out the Capitol Center. And half the Capitol Center would walk out on them.
They'll leave.
Yeah.
But it's funny you bring it up. They would do that to Bohannon. Bohannon would remember Bohannon?
Yeah.
Hamilton.
A couple of times he was down here, man, at the skating rink over there in Northwest. And he would try to close the show, and we would try to tell him, Darryl would try to tell him, man, look, man, you need to come on right before the EU or Trouble or Essence, the crowd would still be pumped, and you still would get a good, you would do very, very good. And, they didn't want to do that. So, okay. So, after them guys wiped it up, it could be Trouble, could be Essence, anybody could wipe it up. And then the rest of the guys, like Bohannon and other groups would come on after them, and you're right, everybody would leave. Yeah. Because it was a different groove. I mean, that groove, man, them boys were tough.
Yeah.
Them boys were tough, Kenny.
Yeah, I remember.
They were tough. I mean, them bands, man, I tell you. I mean, the same energy probably don't exist that existed back then. It was a whole different thing, but them bands, man, grooves came from them natural acts. Did not really want to be on the show with them bands.
No.
They didn't want to. They couldn't function.
I can give you a couple of instances. Let me give you a couple of instances. Mel and I were like major promoters. We weren't just promoting go-go bands. We had a show at the Goldfield House. Nico, I don't know if you remember this. It was at the Goldfield House. We had Parliament Funkadelic, Butcher's Rubber Band, Hamilton Bohannon, who else we had? Young Brother Johnson. That's what we had. You remember that?
No, my cousins were huge fans of them at that time.
Do you remember the show?
Yeah.
Do you remember
Who's
the
that?
show?
My cousins used to take me out, and we used to go out to the park, and we used to see these type of bands.
No.
Okay.
This was Goldfield House.
Yeah, I know.
You know Mel, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And I got in a big argument with him, Bohannon, about the same thing, right? He wanted that star building, right? Now we got the Bomber Funkadelic, we got Butcher's Rubber Band. We're trying to put this national deal together with Natalie Cole, and he wants to move up to either second or first, right? And as a promoter, we couldn't do that. So he got to argue with me. I told him, you know what, man? I don't keep arguing with you, man. You don't want to play, you don't want to play. You don't want to play, you can leave. So I had the same issue, but he was a bad brother, though. You got to keep that to his music out of Richmond, Virginia. But
Yeah.
did you know?
But it's good point you bring up, like Mel Edwards and WL back in the day, because those brothers were instrumental, man,
Right.
and really supported a lot of the local talent back then.
You were late coming here, Charles. You may
Huh?
not have heard this. You may not have heard this before you got on the air. But the first one at WL Disc Jockeys, they were like stars. They were like movie stars in this city.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. We got together and formed this production group, and we did concerts and all, and major concerts, and they got charged with payroll and plug on. I remember wrestling for a minute. They got charged with breakout payroll and plug. They ended up selling the radio. They ended up selling the radio station, and they sold it to Cathy Hughes. That's how Cathy Hughes got WL Radio.
Right.
So that payroll stuff. But that's way off a go for.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was happening, man. I mean, WL and then HUR later on. Then they were very supportive. WOK before they went out of business. Yeah.
Then let me give you another little secret that most people don't know as well, Nico. I'm gonna go back to this payroll stuff for a minute. When WO was really big, they were one of the biggest record stations in the country. Now remind you, this is AOL, this is that. I mean, they're not AOL. This is not FM. This is AM radio. WO wasn't there.
I know.
Okay.
I know. It was right down the street from where I live.
Oh, it was Wisconsin Avenue. Don't you know?
WOL, I'm talking about on H Street.
That's not what I'm talking about. That's what Cathy Hughes pointed out. Cathy Hughes is on H Street.
Right.
All right.
You're talking about before.
I'm talking about before that.
Oh.
Before Cathy Hughes, right? Before Cathy Hughes.
Okay.
Well, they were over there in Georgetown, weren't
Right. Yeah, on Reservoir Road. What you have?
Yeah.
Wisconsin Reservoir Road.
they?
But
Yeah.
she pointed out and formed one of the biggest. She's about the richest black women, white black women in the country, I guess. It all started with WL Radio. Right. She was a record salesperson at WHR. Right. Most people don't know about that.
Well, people don't know that she was with WL and then with the WHR.
No.
And got
People don't know that she was with WHR as an account executive with WHR. We bought our spots for her. And she went from account executive at WHR. So now she's got everyone radio. Most people don't know that story. That's another story.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Nico. I got off track here.
Yeah, well, hey, man. Well, I hope we help the audience today, man, understand, the evolution of this music, which is still evolving, Nico. I think it's still evolving. A couple thoughts I have, like when EU first started, again, a lot of the groups that they emulated during the time were, Earth, Wind & Fire, Mandrill, and,
Funkadelic.
Jimi Hendrix, all of them, right? So later on, like Trouble and Essence, they were a little bit younger than them. Their focal points were a little bit different than even EU's, And then you keep going. You got like Backyard and Junkyard. Now you have hip hop artists in the mix. So they're looking at those artists, and they kind of, bouncing off of that, And now you got, I don't know if any bands. Well, yeah, the bounce beat bands really evolved from Junkyard and Backyard, And so it kind of keeps, it evolves. Hopefully, the essence of it, it stays the way it is, but it keeps evolving. That's why the music keeps changing, because T-Bone told me this years ago. He says young people today feel the beat differently than young people 20 years ago.
Of course.
Yeah, so that's why. So a lot of us initially had some issues with the bounce beat, but youngins, man, that's part of their DNA, and it just evolves.
Yeah.
So I don't know where it's going. Nico, you on top of that better than I am, but I'm just saying it's just a natural progression.
Well, I'll tell you like this, Charles. I mean, it's not just go-go. It's just music in general.
Go ahead, okay.
I always tell the youngest, this, like our parents, their parents didn't like what they listened to. And their parents didn't like, what I'm saying? It's always been like that, because the music's always evolved over the years where you had the sock hop to, to where you got to the funk, like you said, and everything, everything's just changed over the years. Even hip-hop has changed over the years.
Yeah.
Right, you're right.
So the hip-hop artists, some of them can't stand what these rappers are doing today, so it is what it is on it. I just hope, and it's just like how everything always tends to do, things come back around where the music comes back around. One thing that Chuck has said in his interview with Kenny and my main man Mellow T is that you need to bring the brass back into it. That's all part of it. That's kind of what made it popular. Is bringing the full spectrum of the music and making the sound full.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I think that's what's kind of missing within it now, because when you take the instrumentation out of it, then that's what kind of hurts it. Because
good point. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because if you don't have the full spectrum, because every instrument brings an aspect to it to makes it develop and fuller. So
no, you're right. You're right, Nico. I told White Boy the last album that Essence did. I thought that was one of their best.
I said the same thing.
Did you say the same? For real?
Same thing.
You said the same thing?
I thought it was so slept on. I really enjoyed that. I was like, wow.
That album, man. That is a Grammy Award winning album. That's a real good album.
It has some really
they got
good
everything on there.
Yes,
and the thing about it is they stay true to who they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Them horns, man. Who did them horns? Them horns are like, them horns sound just as good, or sometimes even better than some of Chuck's horns. Them horns sounded really good.
I was really surprised by the album, as far as how full
me too.
How full it was.
Me too.
And I was like, wow. And I don't know if you know this, but that album was finished 2 years before it came out.
Wow, I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, they added a little piece here and there. I know the Raheem piece came in late.
Okay.
The majority of that album was done long before it came out. And,
wow.
But that's nothing new, because you got to remember when Lockett came out in 90. When it came out in 91, Lockett was developed in 88.
Yeah, right.
So they didn't really finish the album until Funk left the band.
Yeah. Well, another point you're making, and Kenny, a lot of times back then, the bands would play songs at the go-go. It would catch on, and then they would go and record them.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Yeah. Like Shake It Like a White Girl, EU Freeze, all that stuff that we did back in the day. Knock 'em Out, Sugar Ray, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
We played that stuff at the go-go first.
Yeah.
And then we didn't record it till later on.
Yeah. But something, Charles, and what you were saying, Nico, about being true to the music. I don't know anybody who was more true to his music than Chuck Brown. He refused. And I had long talks. He said, I'll never play certain things. I would never do it. If I have to stop playing, I won't do it.
No, you're right. No, Chuck, I mean, and he brought us on, man, and he gave EU their first shot at the Panorama Room. Kenny, the boys were so happy. I think most of us still in junior high school at the time. And that's what Chuck, I think it was a Tuesday night. He used to play on Tuesday nights at the Panorama Room. One of the sister, he used to call my sister, was friends with Tillery, and convinced Tillery to give EU at the time a shot. And we went and opened up. We couldn't even go on stage, Kenny. We had to play on the floor.
Yeah.
Before, they had the stage in the Panorama Room, and we were on the floor.
Yeah.
and Chuck allowed EU to open up for him that night, man. That was the biggest thing he could ever done for us, man. And he didn't have to do that. You know, I'm thinking everybody talk about, you know, Kobe now, God rest his soul, and I love Kobe, but Chuck was a similar guy to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, he pushed us. He you know, and a lot of times, and Nico, I know you could attest to this, man. You know, I mean, the Go-Go was a hard spot. You know, I mean, them Go-Go's were hard.
It went into a slump.
They were hard. I mean, you had to, you know, and Chuck, I'm talking about hard in terms of the guys that went there. And Chuck kept folk in line. You know, certain things were not going to go down.
Not going to happen.
You know, when Chuck was playing.
Not going to happen.
He was
and they respected him. You know what I mean?
He was the John Thompson of Go-Go.
Yeah.
He was what?
He was the John Thompson of Go-Go.
What you mean by
that? He was. I mean,
the good guy.
John Thompson was the coach of Georgetown.
All right.
And back in the day, when Rayford Evans and you know.
Chuck didn't play that.
When John say, "Hey, stay away from our ball players."
Yeah.
They listened to John. Yeah. John had clout in this city.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, you're right.
But on that point,
you're right. You're right. Good point. And I make that point to folk. You know, but you know, hey man, I think that now, you know, it's a new day. You know, there's a lot more interest in the music, rightfully so. And I just hope, Nico, that we're able to come together and make an industry out of this music.
But
the same kind of way they do in Nashville and Chicago and other places, and start to see this.
They got it right though. Until they start writing, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, but
okay, that's one point. I think that's a very important point. But I'm talking about in terms of the venues and marketing the music to tourists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I think that's on its way, Charles.
Yeah.
With this whole being the official music of DC, I just want it to be done in a manner to where everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
You know.
No, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
Because you know what's going to happen is everybody. You know, it's going to be some people who are going to feel left out and whatnot. You know, because not everybody is seeing. You know, you're never going to get everybody to see things the same way.
No, you're not. You're not.
But in this particular situation, we need to. We gotta have.
We need to.
We have to have one common goal. We gotta
right.
cut the BS out, and everybody fighting and scrapping over scraps. You know.
Right.
No, seriously.
You're right.
We arguing over nothing. You know.
Right.
There hasn't been no real money made. If you want some real money, look at what these national artists are making for appearances, for walkthroughs, much less performing. So stop. All this arguing these bands are doing over $1,000 here, a couple $1,000 there. It needs to stop. It's really sickening to me. You know.
You're right. Yeah, they got to stop it. You got to see the big picture.
But
you're right. You know, you're right. I mean, because right now we got so many different strands of go-go, from gospel to jazz and, you know, grown and sexy, and, you know, whatever you want. You can take your pick, what you want. But the basic element is the same. You know what I mean? And folk, I think we as a city and as musicians and people that really, you know, follow the music, we could make a living. We could make some money, and folks could be happy. And, you know, I mean, like you go to Nashville, they got blocks and blocks of different venues promoting country music, and everybody, you know, making a little change here and there. And I think there's nothing stopping us from being able to do the same thing in Washington.
But you know something, Charles, a couple of things. So I was trying to break in earlier about this one point that you all keep going back over. I talked about it with Chuck Brown. If you remember, if you heard that interview, I talked about the very same problem with Chuck Brown. All right? When Chuck Brown came along and started doing the go-go music, all kind of knives in his back. All kind of knives in his back. You know, if we had banded together back then and banded behind Chuck Brown, this music would have been international. But the groups were so busy battling Chuck Brown that Chuck wasn't trying to battle. He wasn't the one. He wasn't the one trying to battle. But groups would be attacking him. crazy.
Yeah.
The same thing's going on today. The same thing's going on right now. You know, Nico, you and I know an instance. I don't mention no names, but you and I know an instance where somebody's falling against Nico, against you, Nico, for no reason.
Right.
For no reason. You understand what I'm talking about, Nico?
Okay, well, man, look here. I just want Nico to know, and hopefully Kenny can attest to this, that you know I'm here and I'm willing, you know, to work, and I'm going to do all I can to promote, you know, the music, and you know, whenever you guys call me, man, I'm there to respond because, you know, for me, man, I've done everything I want to do, you know, but right now I want to be able to support the continuance of this music and the furtherance of the music, making people understand that this is a 360-degree music. You know what I mean? And Nico, I used to always say, you know, again, that the go-go community, you know, is full of policemen and teachers and doctors. I mean, everybody goes to the go-go. It ain't just no one person, you know. And everybody plays in the band. I remember EU, our sound guy was a doctor, you know, and so people don't know that the applications and the jobs and the interests that go-go musicians and the go-go fans have, which is much greater than what people want to call us, you know, street. Or thugs. It's the whole thing. We everything.
But you know, Charles, you and I talked to about this go-go enthusiasm, and I didn't know anything about it when I first sent that article out. But I'll tell you one thing: if you really want to do a museum, and you really got to put it up, you got to put it up because of go-go itself. Not when I won't make a lot of money. I individually, and won't make money off of it. If you understand what I'm saying, it's got to be a thing where the truth, everything about the truth, it's got to be told. How you have a go-go museum, and you have what started. You don't have what started.
I didn't hear that. About the go-go museum. What about it?
Don't know it started. You don't know where go-go started. And really don't want to hear.
Oh, okay.
I really don't want to hear it, to be honest, Charles.
You talking about the African American Museum?
No. They're starting
no, he's about what Ron is doing.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it hasn't even been established yet. I mean, so
yeah, we still working on that. That's gonna be, you know, that's hopefully, Kenny, you can work with us on that and get that straightened out. You know.
Oh, I told you what. I told you what, Charles. I told you what. Yes, most definitely. I already promised that. You know, but you got to work together. I mean,
you got to work together, right? I mean, it's in our common interest, man. I mean, to work together, make sure you get this straight, get this, you know, out there. You know what I mean?
And don't let your ego get involved.
Yeah, like Nico, like when I heard Nico say that his father turned him on to Experience Unlimited, that goes to show you, man, how long this whole thing has been around. It's been around. So when you start talking about the EU, I mean, Experience Unlimited, the Matadors, the Aggressions, those bands, and the Young Senators, they're connected to the evolution of go-go. It's all the same. You know, it all leads up to Chuck Brown and then, you know, Essence and Trouble and Backyard. It had to start somewhere.
Well,
so we can't, you know what I mean?
But
we
got to give credit to where it started. It started, Chuck Brown started. Anybody?
No.
Yeah.
So Chuck Brown started the music.
The music.
I mean, go-go music, yes, but the whole movement started. I don't know nobody, no one person started, no one band. It just evolved. It evolved.
That's what somebody told me too.
It evolved and it changed because the conditions of society made it change. Remember now, if anybody's a culprit of go-go, it's the D.C. public schools. Because the D.C. public schools are taught all these musicians. So the reason why you had all these bands in D.C. is because they learned how to play music in school.
You know, Charles, I had someone give me on one of those texts that Rico was talking about. Somebody sent me a text saying it just evolved. It just came out of thin.
What?
Somebody on a text. Did you see that one, Rico? They said, it just evolved. Out of clear blue sky, it just drifted upon us. And I told this guy, everything has a beginning. What are you talking about? Everything has a beginning. I don't care what you're talking about. If you get somewhere, I don't care what you're talking about. You want to talk about the air. You want to talk about breathing. If you get somewhere. So you can't say it's just evolve. Number one. There's two things. In my mission, we're talking like that here, but my mission is two things. It did not evolve. If the Friday night call was called the Nico Charles Friday Night Experience, when Joe Brown wrote the music, then that music would have been called the Nico and Charles' Friday Night Music. It evolved from the genre, and the timing was perfect. It evolved from the genre, and from Joe Brown playing the music that he created. There's no, that's it. There's no if and and but. I know I was there. It was no ifs and buts. I know that was there. You were there too, and people were there and will know that Go began at the Friday Night Go. Nobody ever heard of me. They go, what is this? What are you talking about, Go? Nobody ever heard of it. And then Chuck came with that music. And then there was no one there. Anybody wants to deny that, they don't know history. You just don't know history. If anybody wants to deny, first of all, if anybody knows me, I'm not crazy. I am not crazy. Very intelligent guy. All right.
Well, no, I mean, and I greatly appreciate you taking the time out to come in, you and Charles, you know, and giving us the blueprint of how Go-Go got established and eventually has evolved to where it's continuing to evolve, as Charles put it so eloquently.
Right.
So,
hey, Nico, let me say this, man, because I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. I got to salute you, man, and all your work. I mean, and all you have done, man, to bring some sanity to this, to keep it out there. I'm telling you, brother, you got a lot of respect for you. I love what you're doing. I love you, man, and just continue doing it because we need your voice.
Yeah.
I greatly appreciate it. I mean, but see, and I will say this before we get out of here. I suffer from the same things the band suffer from, or I'm not going to ever put myself on the Godfather's level. But you know, when I established Go-Go Radio as a live platform, I got the same things that you know, Brother Barnes, you saying that Chuck did. I got a lot of knives in the back.
Always.
You know what I'm saying?
Always.
And I continually still get that.
Yeah.
You know, people want to discredit me for the work that I put in and all that. But one thing I don't worry about is trying to go out here and fly my banner and saying I did this and I did that. You know, those who know, they know.
That's right.
That's a whole lot of people don't know.
Well, I know. I know. And I respect you for that, man.
It's a whole city that I know.
I
don't know.
I just can't worry about it because, you know, that's, to me, that's wasted energy. You know, my energy is more going towards the positive nature of this, and that's growing this music. Because the more we worry about who did this and who did that, then that takes away from the growth and the building of the situation. So
that's right.
Of course, there's a platform, you know, and a roots, like the name of your organization. There's a roots to the situation.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we want the fruit from the roots.
Right.
That's right.
And so if we can't put ourselves in position to get the fruit from it, then we're not reaping the benefits.
That's right. That's right.
And that's where the music is hurting right now because everybody's fighting to be that root. You know, the root is already there. So why are we worried about that right now? Let's worry about growing and keeping the fruit coming. You know, and the more that tree is bearing fruit, the more everybody can benefit from it.
Well, you're right. Absolutely.
Let me say this, Charles. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing this to gather fruit. That's not why I'm doing it.
No. I mean, no. You the root.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so baby. You ain't talking about you. Yeah, you cool.
Yeah. So we're not talking like that. I'm just trying. This goes to the point I was talking about. As far as with me, what I'm dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Because this, you know, with Charles, and like I said, I greatly appreciate the accolades, you know, you put out there. But my work hasn't ended. You know what I'm saying? To me, in my eyes, it's really just really getting going. This is my 10th year running a live programming on
Wow.
radio.
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years.
Like that.
It'll be, matter of fact, my anniversary signing my contract was on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, January 15th.
I like that.
So on it's actually May 5th is the anniversary when we actually went live. But on this year, on May 2nd, we're going to do a concert to celebrate 10 years of GoGo Radio being live.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, bless you. Okay. All right.
So
What you gonna do it?
if you're in town, Charles, I know you're down in the Carolinas.
Yeah, man, May 2nd. Okay.
You know, we're going to do something real big.
What are you gonna do now? Do you know
We're
it?
going to do it in the parking lot right here.
Okay.
We're in the parking lot of the mall. The malls give me permission to do such. Hopefully they don't switch up on me like they've been switching up on everything else around here. But that's a whole nother story.
Oh, no, Charles.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Nico. My friend over here, he's over here on the sideline. Kevin Wonder Boy Wilson. He's sitting around here somewhere.
Dion?
No, Kevin. The guy came with me.
Oh, yeah, Kevin.
We don't know
Yeah.
Okay. Right now, what most people don't know either, I want to associate it like this. Go actually began in Maryland. It didn't begin in D.C.
Right.
It began in Maryland.
Palmer Park is Maryland.
Right. That's where it began.
I
Okay.
know.
So
All
Kevin.
right.
I think,
All right, gentlemen. All right, brothers.
All right, thank you, Charles. We greatly
Hey,
appreciate you
Charles.
calling in.
Hey,
All right,
Charles.
appreciate it.
Hey,
All right,
Charles.
talk to you, Kenny.
Talk, man. We just
Okay.
talk.
All right, peace.
Okay. All right.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I think the whole mix-up comes in with the DC thing as far as like the root of the bands. They come out of DC.
Yes.
You know, Rasses come out of
All
South
of them.
EU come out
All
of
of
South
them, all of them,
Yeah,
yeah.
all of them come out of Southeast DC. So Trouble Funk, you know, so and then they started developing other areas of DC. So, but as far as where the first bands actually started performing at, Squad Room, Club LeBaron, Maryland
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
And so Kevin mentioned that to some people over in the company over in Maryland, right? That this actually began in Maryland. So they're talking to him about that.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. People gonna think what they gonna think. So, but look, we gotta get up out of here.
All right. Thank you.
We appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very much.
For those who haven't tuned in today, obviously this is going to be on the YouTube channel, the GoGo Radio Live YouTube channel, for you to get your history and to check it out and pass it around. Find out how GoGo got started. When was the first time GoGo got started? And we all know it was the Godfather, Chuck Brown. But we're gonna get out and this goes out to my main man, Charles Stephenson. We appreciate him for calling in, taking time out of his day. This right here is one of my favorite EU songs right here, and this right here is Ooh La La La. And thank y'all for tuning in to the GoWIN Radio Show right here on GoGo Radio Live.
Hey, Nico.
Watch this. Ha! Now, it's going out to Martin. Not yet, baby. I'm working right now. Not yet. Hey, look here. Ooh la la la. 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 Give me the bridge. Ooh la la la. 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 Give me the bridge. Chino. Hey, Sugar Man.